How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market is all over the place today. We have about 15 minutes left in the session, and the S&P's at break even. The Dow's up 0.6%, the Russell's up 0.5%, and the NASDAQ 100's down 0.25%. So today we're going to break down some charts, some stocks, my thoughts on the market. So sit back, relax, smash that like button if you guys find value. Check out my Patreon down below, and let's get right into the video. So looking here on SPY, on the 5-day, 5-minute chart, we can see we took out the lows from the previous trading session on Friday, and those lows were at $445.40. And right off the bat, that's telling me, as I'm doing technical analysis here, that the bears in the short term are still in charge, right? And if you guys were on my Patreon this morning, where I make a video every single morning for my top tier members, we talked exactly about what just happened today. We literally called it out, and it was a repeat of what we've been seeing the past couple of days. And what we've been seeing has been a run up in the pre-market. We saw this on Friday, on Thursday, on Wednesday as well. We saw a run-up in the pre-market and at market open a bit, followed by a big dump-off throughout the day, right? You guys can see on Wednesday, we rallied from 449 to about 452, and then we dumped off. On Thursday, we rallied to about 452.50, then we dumped off to 448.50. On Friday, we had a rally to about 451.30, and then we saw two big dump-offs closing the day at about 445, like I said. And today, like I also said, we took the low out. We went to 441.11, and that is why the bears are 100% in the short term here still in charge. And if I pull up the 4-hour chart on SPY, you guys can see now we're slowly but surely peaking under that 180 SMA, which I'm not panicking quite yet, and I'm not gonna panic regardless, because I'm ready for pretty much any scenario that the stock market throws at me. But I'm not freaking out quite yet, because we saw in the previous pullbacks that we saw in the middle of each month, and that's another thing I mentioned on Patreon this morning. It's funny, in the middle of every month, the past couple of months, we've seen a pullback. It's almost like it's planned for the middle of each month. Look, in the middle of May, we pulled back. Middle of June, we pulled back. Middle of July and the middle of August. And now what is it? It's the middle of September. And each time we've pulled back, we saw a bit of a drop under the 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, followed by a rip back up. So if we get a bit under the 180, I'm not too worried about it. But once we start getting under the previous higher low, which was mid-August at about 435, if we broke under that, that is when I'd start to be a little bit worried, technically speaking. And from there, we probably will see a bit of a further sell-off, which, heck, I'm all for it. I mean, bring it on. Come on. We've been looking at stocks at all-time highs for a while now. Let's bring some lower freaking prices so we can buy at lower valuations. Again, I am all for it. And when it comes down to QQQ, we're right around that 180 moving average on the 4-hour chart as well. We're not peaking under it like on SPY. We're actually above it. And it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what buyers end up doing here. Do they buy this dip? Do we end up falling under? Do the sellers push through this 180 SMA, start getting us 360, 365? That is kind of what I'm looking out for here on the 4-hour chart. And looking on the 5-day, 5-minute, like SPY here, QQQ also took the lows out from Friday, and we see that pattern of a run-up in pre-market followed by a sell-off throughout the day on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today being Monday. So I want to see what ends up happening tomorrow. I think this rally that we're seeing could end up being a bull trap. And we could end up seeing maybe a rally pre-market again, followed by another dump off. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. So be careful, guys. This doesn't look that great. It's a rough. I don't want to say it's very rough out there, but we're definitely in a bear-dominated market right now, at least in the past couple of days. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Make sure to smash that like button if you guys are finding value in this video thus far. And let's talk about some stocks now. Oracle is set to report earnings after market hours today. And the reason why I'm actually filming this video a bit early is because I got to shoot over to PA. I'm actually looking at a wedding venue for my wedding, which is coming up in about a year and a half. We haven't nailed down a date yet, but we're doing a bunch of tours, so I have to take a drive after this, so I'm on a time crunch right now, and that's why we can't see what Oracle ended up reporting, but when you're watching this, they reported already, so let me know in the comments. But we're selling off a bit as of now, so maybe the investors, traders out there aren't anticipating too much of a great earnings report. So if we end up holding, let's say 88, maybe we start filling the gap back to 90, 91. But ultimately, I want to see EPS revenue guidance, and I want to see if we get out of the $91 alert that I've set. And that could be the breakout and the ascending triangle playing out, as we are in, after all, an ascending triangle here on Oracle. And Intel, INTC, is another one that's doing well today. It's up 2%. And this is interesting. You know, it's starting to break out even more. It's trading above the moving averages. We're seeing a golden cross on the 4-hour chart. It's looking pretty dang good. And now we're trading at almost a 2-month high. The last time Intel was at $55 was back in the middle towards the end of July. So that's a pretty good sign that the tides are slowly turning on Intel. And who knows? Maybe we could start going high 50s, low 60s on this one. And I showed you guys the longer-term chart, the 3-year chart recently, which shows Intel consolidating above the 180 SMA. And now that it's moving up 2% as of now, it's starting to fight through that 50 moving average. So this is what Intel needs, technically speaking, to start shooting back up to the high 50s, low 60s, mid 60s. So I don't have a position quite yet, but this is one that I'm heavily considering as a longer term swing trade. This is not going to pan out in a week or two, guys. It's not one of those stocks. Heck, it could, but I highly doubt it. It's one of those stocks that you have to hold, and I'm not telling you what to do because I'm not a financial advisor, but if you were to buy this with your own research, of course, you'd have to hold it for a couple months for it to pan out, in my opinion, right? So keep your eyes on Intel. Gamestop is shooting up today. Hallelujah, guys, because this is one that I was still in at 205. I held it through the pain down to 180 after earnings, and now we're back to 203. GameStop's up 6.5% right now, up $12 per share. And unlike Intel, this is a stock that can move very quickly in a short amount of time. And by the looks of it, now on the 4-hour chart, we held a higher low after earnings above that 180 SMA at 180. We rallied over 200. Now we're starting to fight and push past the 50 SMA. And from here, guys, I think we're going to see some green days. You know, it's funny. These spec stocks, they move up when the markets are very volatile. It doesn't make sense, but it's just how it is. It's just how it is, guys. And at this point in time, if we start breaking 205, 210, which we're struggling at as of now, but I think we will ultimately break it, or I wouldn't be in GameStop as a trade, I think we're going to start pushing 220, 230, and maybe even higher. And I almost forgot to mention the CPI number. You guys got to watch out for that number tomorrow morning. I made a video going over more of the Fed, CPI, the labor market. I made that video earlier today. I went over how good news is bad news, or rather, what was the title? Bad news is good news. I believe that was the title. Go check that video out. Very, very valuable. Go watch it now or after this one. I don't really care. But you guys got to watch it. So watch that. And we saw oil do pretty well. If you guys pull up crude oil /CL, this one's ripping. I mean, it's up 1.3%. And the past couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, oil's been moving out of the downtrend that it was in from the beginning of July. If you guys were paying attention, oil was at $77 a barrel. in the beginning of July, and it saw a big drop to about 61 a barrel in the beginning of August. That was a 20% drop, and it got itself into a bear market in about a month and a half. And now we're seeing a push over both moving averages on the 4-hour chart, a golden cross, all that good stuff, and we just took out the highs from earlier in September, $70 a barrel, $70.50. We just took those highs out today. So I think oil is on its way back up. I really do believe that. And I'm long XLE. You guys in my Patreon know that because you get all my buys and sells. I'm long XLE, which is an energy ETF. I used to be long Exxon, but I completely got out of it. I took my profits there and pretty much put it into the ETF just to have more broad exposure into the energy sector, if you will. That's what I did there. And I'm looking at a couple of other ones, individual stocks here for a trade. Occidental Petroleum, OXY is the ticker. This one's breaking out of the downtrend. It looks like it's making its way up to $27.50, $28. If it breaks that, I think we could start pushing 30. ExxonMobil, even though I'm out of it for my long-term play there, I'm still looking at it as a trade. If it starts breaking out of this wedge and the 180 moving average, then we could start seeing a push back up to the high 50s, low 60s. CVX, which is Chevron, this is another one I'm looking at. This one's in a downtrending channel still from the beginning of May, middle of May. It went from 113 down to about 92, which got it into pretty much a bear market, almost into a bear market. Now we're testing the top of the downwards channel. So if we start breaking out here, guys, I think these oil stocks are going to see one heck of a run. And I'm not sure which one's going to do better, which is why I'm in XLE, which again is an energy ETF. There's no point in me trying to pick what energy stock is going to do well at this point because I already did that with ExxonMobil, and I did well with it. If you guys remember, I was in at $45. I sold it at like 62. So I'm done picking the oil stocks at this point. I just want broad exposure because I think with inflation running rampant, and it's still going to do that in my opinion, I think energy is going to do well. And I also think, and there goes the market, I think gold stocks are going to do well as well, which I'm in GDX, GDXJ. I own a bit of AG, which all of these stocks did well. The banks did well today. Gold stocks did well today. The energy stocks did well today. We also saw CCL do pretty well, which is a cruise line. This one up 2.5%, showing some nice momentum, but not quite yet what I truly want to see for a breakout. You guys can see here, past couple of days, we've been very choppy between 22.50 and 23.50. Now we're trying to break out of that 50 moving average on the 4-hour chart. If we succeed in doing so, which is right around 23.60, then we could start making a push to 24.50, which was resistance end of August, early September. And if that were to break, now we're talking a move up to the top of the channel, anywhere from $25.50 to $26. Urban Outfitters is another one I'm looking at here, which has just been creamed the past couple of days. I mean, the weeks, actually. It's just been a disaster. Urban Outfitters is down from 42.60. Now it's at 31. It's well in a bear market, down 26%. And you guys can see it's at the bottom of the channel, which is kind of a similar setup to JWM, which I'm personally in right now, and I'm selling covered calls against my shares here, which I love doing that. You guys can check out my covered call video, which I made last week. Go watch it. It's an 18-minute video. Just type in Stasserfest, covered calls, Stasserfest, selling calls, whatever. My video will pop up. Definitely go check that out. JWN is one that I'm doing that strategy on. I'm also selling calls on SoFi and Tattooed Chef at the moment. And this JWN setup is exactly what I'm seeing on Urban Outfitters. So let's see if we can get some buyers in the low 30s to prop this thing, push this thing back up to the mid-high 30s. And I'm also seeing a bullish divergence on Urban Outfitters. You guys can see the RSI is strengthening as we're still making lower lows. So that's a good sign for a bullish case on the stock in the short term. And let's see if we're getting a bullish divergence on JWN. Oh, Yes, we are, guys. Look at that. And these are stocks that I think could do well in the holiday season as we're approaching the holiday season. So that's pretty much it, guys. Again, I'm on a time crunch. This video is probably very short for what I usually make. We're making record timing here, guys. Usually my videos are 22, 23 minutes. We're 15 minutes in. So if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And subscribe to the channel. And also check out my Patreon for all my buys, sells, call-outs, morning update videos, private Discord access, and more access to me. All of that's on Patreon. Link down below. Or you guys can go to stossurfest.com/Patreon. Get your free money from M1 Finance and from Webull. Link down below. And that's it. Maybe check out my video from earlier. Very good content there as well. I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. Again, as always, keep crushing the markets. Stay safe out there. Peace out, guys.